Dobra, teraz przeglądamy wszystko Valentiną.
They must have the Tabula Smaragdina here, the fundamental text for alchemy. Iko. Here it is. The Smaragdina tablet, the alchemist's Bible. But I'd better not touch the book. It would fall apart at the smallest touch, like nearly everything here. I don't like secret doors. I don't like a stove. The shaft once led outside, so there was a shortcut then. That's not ordinary soil. Looks like there is tar mixed in with it. Somebody wanted to be sure. Could represent a scepter. The beams don't seem to be weight-bearing elements. But what are they for then? Perhaps they had damp cloth stretched across them because of the smoke that would always be coming from the alchemy experiments. The book is open at the homunculus chapter. Is that a coincidence, or was Mordred busy creating an artificial life? Strange. Interesting stonemasonry. The faces are supported by hands. Hacked out of the stone wall and filled with groundwater. Ought to be drinkable. Only the lighting makes me a little suspicious. Even more cupels and serpentines. This is where Mordred mixed his recipes. A really fine alchemy laboratory. There's virtually everything there that they used to use back then. But I doubt that Mordred was interested in creating gold. The flasks point rather more to him being a blender of poisons. A sublimation vessel for using in Athenor, a special alchemist's oven. I've never seen such a good one before. Bellissima. Adrian? That's a perfectly equipped alchemy laboratory. Mordred was a man of science.
He's certainly not going to be able to help me with my physics studies. Alchemists were only bothered about creating gold.
That's not correct. There were definitely alchemists who worked on other things too.
Oh yeah, opening demon gates. I'd forgotten.
They also tried to concoct healing potions, or the opposites, poisons.
They were definitely more successful at the latter.
Teraz.
Valentina,
O.
are you gonna let me take a look at your dagger?
What? No, definitely not.
I think I know how to open the door. It's quite simple.
All right then. I hope you know what you're doing. What are you doing there?
There was a door in the academy. It could only be opened with the blood of a Gordon. My blood. When I wanted to help Angelina as a child back then, I'd cut myself. That's why I was able to open the door.
Gordon blood. One further reason why only you can be the guardian.
Dobra, i w ten oto sposób otworzyliśmy ostatnie już przejście, jakie powinniśmy otworzyć. No i jesteśmy coraz bliżej rozwiązania zagadki. Mam nadzieję, że się cieszycie.
Let me go first.
Why?
I don't know what might happen when Mordred sees his beloved mirror again. Think about that thing with the swords.
Okay.
No właśnie, i wchodzimy do ostatniego pomieszczenia, jakie poznamy w trzeciej części Black Mirror. Które będzie, no, tak jak zresztą widzicie, finałem naszej wędrówki całej.
Can you see that?
Yes.
What does it mean? Is that Mordred? Or is that me? Why do I have the urge to touch the mirror?
It's Mordred who wants to make you do that. Don't touch the mirror, ever!
Okay.
The reflection shows your soul, and the part of Mordred that's within you.
Mordred? Why does he look like one of these shades?
Mordred's soul is still trapped behind the mirror. What you have in you is the shade of Mordred's soul. We somehow got to send Mordred's soul back into the Black Mirror, and do that without setting it free.
Okay, but how then? Haven't we just had an exorcism that went all wrong?
No, not an exorcism. We need something else. Are you sure there's nothing in Mordred's book you've overlooked?
Yeah, absolutely. I can show it to you if you want. These pages. There's some writing appearing. That must be Mordred's notes. But how come there's something there all of a sudden?
The mirror must have activated it, maybe?
If you believe my ancestors,
Jeśli wierzyć moim przodkom, jest możliwe, by dusza opuściła zwierciadło, jeżeli cień jest już w jakiś sposób przywiązany do tego świata. Ponownie... Dobra, poczekam.
Is exactly the right one for my son to be made into, and what he would have become if my brother had not blah blah. The guy definitely would have benefited from a few sessions with Dr. Winterbottom. But hold it, there's something else here. Everything is prepared. Armundo's bones lie upon the altar. His shade will soon be bound to them. Nothing more stands in the way of the crossing over of his soul. Now all that has to happen is for the boy to be freed from the yoke of his contaminated soul.
Ponownie spotkanie ciała i duszy zostawi niewiarygodny potencjał. Chyba to jest tutaj napisane, bo jest nieczytelna czcionka bardzo. Dusza należąca do potężnego króla Armandora, którego bali się wszyscy, jest jak najbardziej odpowiednia, by mój syn mógł z niej skorzystać. A co by się z nim stało, gdyby mój brat nie... I tutaj bla bla bla. Adrian mówił, wszystko gotowe, kości Armandora leżą na ołtarzu, jego cień wkrótce do nich dołączy. Nic więcej nie stoi na przeszkodzie, by jego dusza tu przybyła. Wszystko, co się stanie teraz, to dla jednego chłopa, który musi zostać uwolniony od swej zanieczyszczonej duszy. No, dobrze.
Soul transfer. Mordred's soul shade in me. Yes, of course. That's his plan. He's lured me here so that his ritual can be completed, and his soul can cross over into my body. That's exactly what the curse has been for.
Only Mordred hadn't reckoned with his soul shade landing in a guardian's body. That's the only reason you've held out for so long.
But that doesn't help us all that much. If we release this shade that's inside me, Mordred's soul will then enter me.
Shh, Adrian. I think I've got an idea. Let me think about it for a minute.
Dobra, teraz wszystko przejdźmy. No jak widzieliśmy, Adrian i Valentina przeglądali się w lustrze. Valentina była, normalne miała odbicie, a Adrian miał, powiedzmy, 3 odbicia nawet bym powiedział. Jedno to była, takie dosyć złowieszcze, ponieważ był to taki jakby ninja, który zamiast twarzy miał czaszkę i był czerwony. Adrian był pokazany jako on sam w powłoczce takiej biało-niebieskiej, takiej jak Maria w lesie. Coś w tym stylu. No zresztą widzieliście.
Adrian's reflection is a mix of his own soul and Mordred's soul shape. I don't have any better way of describing it. There's absolutely no way Adrian's soul can be allowed to lose the struggle against Mordred's shade. But what is on the other side? Only Mordred's soul? Or has Adrian got one of those soul shades as well? Adrian, can you read me the section about the shades from the Book of the Guardians, please?
The ancients' graves are watched over by their shades. Their fate has been thus for thousands of years now, with no end ever envisaged. They were born in death, and it is death they wish to spread. The ancients force them into our world. Thus, they don't belong here. They can be neither caught nor appeased. However, the light from the green flame unsettles them. It drives them into the darkness. One should not come too close to them there. Their power is old, very old.
Groby starożytnych są pilnowane przez ich cienie. Ich znaczenie ma 1000 lat, gdzie zakończenie nigdy nie jest przewidywalne. Oni urodzili się w obliczu śmierci, a więc chcą być blisko śmierci. Starożytni wysłali ich siłą do naszego świata, a więc tak czy siak powinni być tu, a nie tam. Nie mogą być ani złapani, ani ujarzmieni. Jakkolwiek zielony płomień ich dekoncentruje, prowadzi do ciemności, nikt nie powinien podchodzić zbyt blisko, ich potęga jest stara, bardzo stara. Tutaj mamy jeszcze, tu mamy rysunek bransoletki, którą miała Angelina, no tak więc nie trzeba było zbytnio główkować, tylko po prostu zajrzeć do księgi strażników.
A shade is created in every case when somebody dies. But not in this world, but behind the mirror.
Dobra, sprawdźmy jeszcze wszystko.
I know from the Vatican files that there were human sacrifices here, in order to see if their souls were good or evil. The same sort of idea as witch burning. Mordred wrote that a soul could leave the mirror if its shade was already bound here, which is exactly the case here now. So, if Adrian were to die here, then Mordred would win. Adrian's soul would have been freed from eternity, and his body would take on Mordred's soul. But we have to get Mordred's soul shade out of Adrian one way or another. We absolutely have to make sure Mordred's actual soul can't leave the mirror, and Adrian's soul has to stay where it is.
Sounds right?
I don't know who or what they're supposed to represent. They're really imposing. This altar has so much blood on it. It feels like this cavern has been here since the dawn of time.
No, ogromne to pomieszczenie nawet widać. No dobra, wróćmy do laboratorium. Czyli musimy przyrządzić jakąś truciznę, tak mi się przynajmniej zdaje z tego, co zrozumiałem.
Adrian, have another look in Mordred's book. Maybe there's more there now.
I did not want him to die. I wanted to save him from his wretched fate. I wanted to make him my son again. My son, no bastard from the loins of my cursed brother. I have kept to the ritual exactly. Everything has worked well, only I was unable to bring a beat back to his heart. I tried everything, all in vain. From now on, I am quite alone. There is no one whom I can initiate. Marcus has taken everything from me, and now I shall take everything from him. I must make haste. My sword. First, I have to conclude the experiment with it. It appears that I have created a shade for it. That could mean that I can use it on the other side. If I succeed in crossing to the other side without dying, then I will rule both sides. Strange as the black stain on the blade, since its contact with the other side, the black is spreading inexorably. Rituals, experiments with a sword. What the hell was Mordred doing here?
It sounds like he was trying out an ancient druidic soul transfer ritual on his own son.
A soul transfer? He simply murdered him.
Does it give the procedure for the ritual in the book by any chance?
No.
Zapomniałem tamtego przeczytać, ale chodziło o to, że Mordred chciał transferować duszę kogoś tam z jego synem do ciała jego syna. No i mu się nie udało, a potem zrobił chyba cień swojego miecza i miecz zaczął obrastać w czarną pleśń.
I could give Adrian something to really slow his heartbeat down, like a poison. Then, that would have to free Mordred's soul from Adrian's body. But then, Adrian's soul would be freed as well, and he'd die. It could be possible to resuscitate him with adrenaline. I will only have to give him a small shot into a vein soon after. At that time, Mordred wasn't in a position to do that. Nobody knew about adrenaline back then. Today, it's possible. It's dangerous for sure, but it's the only possibility I can see right now. I'd better not say anything about it to Adrian, for now.
No dobrze. Dobra. To był błąd.
There's nothing to discuss with Adrian.
I wouldn't know what I'm able to see in my mind everything that happened on this altar. Having Mordred in your head eclipses any horror film, and I don't feel any revulsion. None at all. If Valentina doesn't come up with something soon, he's won. No, I have to pull myself together, or else all of our efforts are going to be in vain.
Dobrze, jeszcze zapomniałem jednej rzeczy sprawdzić. W tym właśnie.
Adrian's shade needs a weapon to conquer Mordred, but I'm afraid that an ordinary blade isn't going to do the job. Mordred's already dead, and you can't pass a weapon through the mirror just like that. Wait. Adrian, what was that just now in Mordred's book about his sword?
O, właśnie.
Strange is the black stain on the blade. Since its contact with the other side, the black is spreading inexorably. And here, it appears that I have created a shade for it. That could mean that I could use it on the other side.
That's it. We need Mordred's sword.
Can't be all that difficult. Find a sword with a black stain.
There's nothing to discuss with Adrian.
Valentina.
Yes.
You know what's weird? There's light everywhere down here. Even burning candles.
Everything seems to be rather unearthly.
Especially with all the lights.
It could be that they come on when a certain door is open. But when was the mechanism for that installed? And by whom?
Or we're not the only ones who are wandering about down here.
Whatever the case, we still haven't reached our goal. Marcus thought that the way to the Black Mirror had been closed forever with the chapel.
But he hadn't reckoned with the genius of his brother.
Are you starting to admire Mordred?
Just take a look around. The castle up there suddenly seems tiny compared to all this down here. It's so imposing and overwhelming even. Kinda majestic. The vaulted roof is just awesome, don't you think?
I don't think we should waste too much time hanging around.
No właśnie. Teraz musimy Adrianem przyjrzeć się kościom.
Mordred's grave.
I zrobić chyba zdjęcie już, czy jeszcze nie? Nie, jeszcze nie. No dobra, no to...
That's the tip of Mordred's sword. When Maria stood in the way, he murdered her. The tip broke off in the process and stuck in her chest.
Dobra, czy jeszcze... Ja coś tutaj przegapiłem, czy co? Czy o co chodzi?
This oath.
Dobra, to już słyszeliśmy.
I'm able to see in my mind, and I know
Dobra, to już też
that's
słyszeliśmy.
what it is then. The Black Mirror, the Shade Portal. There's such an extraordinary attraction coming from it. I've got a persistent urge to look into it. I wouldn't know what I might.
Dobra. Może spróbujemy. Już właśnie nie pamiętam, coś tu trzeba było na pewno zrobić, żeby...
Mordred's remains.
Aha, dobrze, dobra.
According to Mordred, he used the bones of the dead to bring their shades into this world and then keep them here. So, we could lure Mordred's shade out of Adrian by using his bones, just like he once did with that king. Adrian, we need Mordred's bones for the ritual. Can you do that?
Yeah? In one piece?
Just remember how they all go together, and then lay them on the altar in the same layout. Okay, I think I know how we're going to do this.
I can't wait.
Right. The Black Mirror seems to be a portal into another world, a kind of shade world. If a human dies anywhere near the portal, then a shade is born on the other side of the mirror. At the same time, there are two possibilities for that person's soul. If they were of pure heart, their soul shade remains behind the Black Mirror, and their soul...
Fly shade free up to heaven?
It's free, yes, but if that person was evil, then their soul is sucked from their shade into the mirror.
And then?
It's trapped. The souls in the mirror are slaves to the shades. They can become their instruments to be exploited.
Oh, that means that the shades are only evil if their soul was too.
Marcus was supposed to have battled his way through an army of shades before he killed his brother. Mordred has found out how to bring shades through the portal.
Okay, but Mordred's shade is already out. You can see that clearly from my reflection.
Correct. Therefore, his soul is more or less defenseless and alone behind the mirror, and is just waiting until it can come through.
And that might happen if I touch the mirror. Is that it?
That, we don't want to find out. Therefore, we can bind Mordred's shade to his mortal remains. Doing that stops the shade from getting in our way, at least. And then your shade, Adrian, can take over Mordred's soul. Or even better, destroy it.
My shade? I thought a shade only comes into being when somebody dies.
You do have to die.
Okay. And why didn't you let me jump from the roof then? That would have been more comfortable.
Then you would be irretrievably dead. Adrian, I will resuscitate you. If your body shuts down for a few minutes, your soul will... How can I say this? Be free. I know there are plenty of near-death experience reports, which confirm this. A soul shade will generate simultaneously on the other side of the mirror.
Won't that cause some kind of brain damage?
Don't worry, Adrian. The human brain can get by for a few minutes without a heartbeat. Your soul will return to your body just as soon as you have a heartbeat again. It's not the first time I've come across this. Near-death experiences are usually what has happened when people believe that God has spoken to them.
Okay, and then? Is my soul shade supposed to strangle Mordred?
No. We know that Mordred has made the sword usable on the other side. To put it better, the soul-like mirror reflection. You'll take it to the other side and be able to kill Mordred's soul with it. Shades are stronger there than they are here.
Have I got this right? Souls are strong here, and the soul shades are weak?
Exactly, and the other way around too. Which means that Mordred's soul is very weak on the other side.
Well, that sounds like there's some absurd logic to it. And what's the story with Mordred's shade then?
We'll keep it outside the mirror using the bones, so that it can't cross over to defend his soul. After that, the same thing ought to happen to the shade that happens to a soul when the body dies.
It'll go back into the mirror.
But there would still be a problem.
Yeah?
You need Mordred's sword, and apart from the broken tip. I don't know where that is.
In the book, there was something about a blackness that came out from the sword, spreading itself even further.
Of course. That's why Greg and Steve had problems with that. The tea room, the fungus. There was a constant problem there with the damage, apparently, coming from the extinguishing water after the fire.
Then the sword has to be there. I'll go and get
Stop. You're not going to lay a hand on any kind of sword, and especially not one of Mordred's. I'll get it. I need to get the book from the library anyway. One about poisons. These down here are somewhat out of date.
And what am I supposed to do in the meantime?
You could lay out Mordred's skeleton on the altar. See you soon.